Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with another episode of Speaking My Mind. How are you all doing today? I hope you're all doing well. It's a very chilly day. Feels like I've ages again since I've done these. Normally I do a bunch of these in one go. I'm not sure if I'll do many today. I'll see how things go. It's a little bit chilly. I haven't got a jumper on, and it kind of baffles me really because of the weather, because it's like you think it'd be a little bit warmer, but no, it's not. But mind you, I feel I'm warm enough, but maybe I'm just saying that. So I think I've talked about this discussion before, but I want to bring it up again. And the reason why I want to bring it up again is because of a recent story that's come out. And I'm going to talk about it in my live stream on the day I'm recording this. But you'll know you'll know if you've been following the channel which one I'm talking about. And that is about social media and mobile phones. So I've talked about this before, guys, about it, but there was a story that's come out from a head teacher who's proposing, and this is not a compulsory thing, about kids spending 12 hours in school and the idea behind it is to suppress children being on their phones all the time. This is the whole point of his policy, because he wants to tackle kids on social media. Now, one of the biggest problems, and I can only speak here, but I'm sure it's also a European world problem actually, is that kids, when they finish school or whatever, they're on their phones, just like I'm on my phone right now talking to you, but they're addicted to them, and some of us as adults are addicted to them too. And his argument is that we need to, like, them spending all their time on their phones is destroying them, taking away that time they could be using it elsewhere, and we need to do something about it. And this is one of his ideas. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about that, but I want to talk too much about the policy itself, but I want to engage with this whole social media, phones and kids in general. Now, obviously when I was younger, it wasn't till quite late into my secondary school that I had a mobile phone on me. Now, all the phone had was just calls and texts. It didn't have everything that it has today. Now, understandably, it's a right pain for teachers, and one of the ways they're tackling this is obviously by either confiscating or limiting time on their phones and whatnot in schools. Now, obviously every country, every education system has their own ways of dealing with it, but suppressing time on their phones is, I think, really, really important. And the other question is obviously, how do you manage as a parent? Now, I'm not a parent, so I can say for yourself, how do you manage your parents, as a parent or parents out there, how do they manage their kids with their phones? And there was something, I had this crazy idea in my head, and I don't know if the idea will ever come to fruition. And I'll come to the idea, hopefully, if I remember, I'll come back to it. But I remember one time, recently, I was at my parents' staying over one weekend a while back, and there was a little period, I think it was like a good 5-10 minutes, where everyone on the couch was just looking at their phones, including myself. We weren't talking to each other. We weren't reading the newspaper. Although, to be fair, my parents do read the newspaper and look at other stuff, so they're not always on their phones 24/7. But it's like, what are you doing? Why are you all looking at your phones? You should be all mingling and talking to each other, sort of thing. And I want to know if any of you have ever had that, where you've gone to visit a friend or family or whatever, and then you get to a point where, for whatever reason, you're, instead of engaging with each other, you're looking at your phones. And you ever look back at it and you're thinking, why am I doing that? It's just a thought that kind of crossed my mind. I know also that my partner, sometimes she just sits and stares at her phone as well. I'm not going to lie, I sometimes sit and stare at my phone too. But how do we tackle this, guys? How do we reduce the amount of time people spend on their phones? Not just as adults but as kids. What can we do to suppress this? Because you can't stop people looking at their phones. You can't stop it completely. Now, because I firmly disagree with this policy, and there's a number of reasons why I disagree with this 12-hour school policy, because it doesn't solve the issue of kids with their mobile phones. All you're doing, in my opinion, is just taking time away from parents with their kids, among other things. Those would be among other reasons as well. For me, it doesn't solve the issue at all. That's just my personal opinion, and there's a lot of other reasons which I'm not going to go into too much detail. But how do you solve this issue? So I was listening to LBC. I don't normally spend a lot of time on LBC and whatnot, but I was listening to it one time this morning, and because actually the reason why I was listening to it was because I saw a video about Nick Ferrari talking about this. And I saw the headline, I was like, what? So I had to listen to this and hear what it's saying. And there was some real back and forth arguments with callers and Nick on this policy about, spending 12 hours in schools. And they missed it. For me, like, obviously the discussion is about stopping kids spending all their time on mobile phones. But no one's putting into consideration the fact that you could be taking kids' time away from parents. Now, I know right now in this day and age that many parents are working extremely long hours, especially here in the UK. I can't speak for other nations. And they don't come home until like 6-7 o'clock or whatnot. But there are some parents that have to do that. But there's some that don't. And this is at the moment not a compulsory thing, but it's like an idea thing to help get their kids off phones. This is what the whole crux around. But I don't see it like this. I see this as a Tory policy that could be used to force, yes, you heard me, to force parents to work longer hours to help plug the gap in the unemployment sector. That's what I was thinking. That was the first thing that was crossing my mind when this whole thing came up. I was like, but it wasn't a Tory policy, because that was the first thing that crossed my mind. I was like, this is something that the Conservatives would come up with to get more people who are already stretched, and there's so many other ramifications about it. I'm getting torn between the policy and talking about kids with their mobile phones. So one of the ideas I had is how do you stop kids spending all their time on their mobile phones? Right, so what if there was an app? Okay, what if there was an app out there that locks the child out of their phone, literally locks them out of their own phone for a certain period of time on their device, and the only thing they could access is mobile phone calls and texts on that device? What do you honestly think? And just imagine it, right? Yeah. So you don't want your son spending 12 hours or whatever on social media. Yeah. Let them spend it on the evening or whatever, or the morning. But you want to keep them locked out of it. But they'll have their phone with them, but they can't access it. What if there is an app on their phone that locks them out of all their social medias? It's a very interesting thought I had. Now, the thing is, and here's the other thing, this couldn't be just something for kids, this could be something for adults too, especially if you're someone who's highly addicted to social media. Now, as someone who, because I'm a content creator, I use Instagram, I use Twitter, I use Facebook. Those are my three main social medias. I do have others, but I don't use them almost never. very, very rarely I go on TikTok to actually scroll TikTok. But yes, I do have a TikTok, but I use it to promote my content, but I don't actually use TikTok to scroll through. I have in the past, but I very, very limited myself on TikTok because I consider it a waste of time. And of course you can argue to people, yeah, well, Facebook is a waste of time too. Well, one of the main reasons why I keep Facebook is because it keeps me connected to family that I don't have direct mobile numbers to, and I have connections to people from past at work and whatnot, which is why I still keep Facebook, among one or two other things as well. Twitter, which is obviously X now, which is a cesspit. While it is a place of negativity, I could also use it as a place of positivity as well. And there's also a source of news and information. Those who watch the Snowflake Watch know that I use it to access clips and videos and online respond to them. Instagram I don't so much. So the one that I have for the news and stuff, I don't use that one. I just use it to upload my content. But I have another one. I have two Instagrams, but the other one I sometimes scroll to look at certain quotes, thoughts and positive vibes as part of that Instagram account that I use. But I think I spend sometimes maybe 2 minutes, sometimes 2 minutes, maybe maximum, maybe 5-10 minutes of maximum a day maybe on it. I don't think there are times where I spend 10 minutes setting up schedules on there for the quotes and whatnot, but I don't consider that social media time. I consider it actually work time, because I'm actually working on the page as opposed to actually using it to scroll through stuff. That can sometimes take 10-15 minutes. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of social medias out there. Now, I did try a while ago as well. I know this one's going on for a bit, but I wanted to get this out as well. Well, I did try something a while ago as well, which was trying to go whole mornings without using social media. I couldn't do it. And the reason I couldn't do it was because of what I do every morning. And that is, when I get up in the morning, one of the first things I do is I plug the daily quote from my quote calendar on all my social medias. And then once I normally do that, that is when I'm supposed to stop. So sometimes I'll scroll through a bit of social media in the morning, and then instead of actually doing some of my usual things of working out, yoga and whatnot, I'm spending time doing that, and I don't realise the time. So maybe I should stop doing it at 6 a.m. and maybe I should do it at noon like I used to, and do all the uploading then. I don't know. See, it's about discipline, and even I'm struggling to discipline myself when it comes to social media, because I have all these social medias. It's easy for you in the comments to say you should close all these social medias. Well, there's people that I know and I'm connected through certain social medias, only through them, so I don't really want to. And that's kind of a growing thing with kids as well, because they are getting deeply connected with kids from their classmates, and then from other classmates and connections, and they're building WhatsApps, and then some of the social medias that we're not familiar with that they're using to connect to each other, not the main ones that we're used to, but ones that we don't know about, they're connecting as well. So they're creating deeper connections through that. And if you try and cut off those connections, if you try as a parent to try and cut off those connections, you may distance yourself from the child, but you're already distancing yourself from the child because you're working so long, many hours, and the only time you get spent with your child is at the weekends because of the situation that the country is in, unless you're someone who has a lot of money. And you can see there's a social problem here as well with regards to social media, the socializing aspect as well. So I don't have a direct answer to solving kids spending time on mobile phones, but I do believe we can reduce it. But I don't agree with suppressing it from children outright. I don't think that's going to solve the issue, but I do think we need to look at ways of reducing it. But I generally want to know what you guys think about this one. A very long one, very thoughtful, but let me know what you guys think about social media, the addictions that it has, addictions it had on me, the addictions it has on you, ideas and stuff that maybe you guys have been trying to do to reduce your time on social media. Let me know all your thoughts about it and more in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.